Wild Branch. The grafting of the wild branch. There was once a valley that lay between two mountains. On the eastern mountain, the sun rose every morning with a golden fire so pure that the whole sky seemed to awaken in prayer. On the western mountain, the sun disappeared each evening behind purple clouds, leaving the earth in silence. Between these two mountains was a vast orchard. Long ago, the orchard had been planted by a great father. He was not merely a farmer. He was the owner of the land, the giver of life, and the one whose heart beat inside every living thing. His desire was simple and beautiful. He wanted his trees to grow strong, bear sweet fruit, multiply, and fill the valley with fragrance, shade, beauty, and joy. At the center of the orchard stood one tree unlike all others. It was called the Tree of Life. Its roots went deeper than any other tree. Its trunk was straight and strong. Its branches reached toward heaven. Its leaves shimmered in the morning light as though they had been washed in tears and joy. The fruit of that tree was not ordinary fruit. Whoever ate from it felt not only strength in the body, but peace in the heart. It carried the life, love, and lineage of the Father himself. The Father planted the first man and woman near that tree. They were meant to grow in harmony with it, to receive its life, and eventually to become trees of life themselves. Through them, the orchard would have become a world of true love, true families, and true children. But before the trees matured, a dark wind entered the valley. It whispered to the young trees, "You do not need the Father. You can decide good and evil for yourselves. You can take life without waiting. You can become great by separating from the root." The young trees listened, and something terrible happened. Their roots, which were meant to drink from the clear underground river of the Father's love, became tangled with another root, a false root, a poison root. From that moment, the orchard changed. The trees still grew, but their fruit became mixed. Some fruit looked beautiful on the outside, but was bitter within. Some branches reached toward the sun, while others bent toward shadow. The trees longed for goodness, but another power lived inside them. Their leaves trembled between two desires. One desire to return to the Father, and another desire to remain in selfishness. Generations passed. The orchard became wild. Some trees fought one another for sunlight. Some wrapped their branches around weaker trees and choked them. Some boasted of their height but produced no fruit. Others bore fruit but were wounded, bent, and burdened by disease. Still, the Father did not abandon his orchard. Every morning he came to the edge of the valley and looked upon it with tears. He remembered what it was meant to become. He remembered the sweetness it should have given to heaven and earth. He remembered the laughter of children that should have filled its paths. And he said, "I will restore my orchard. I will send the true branch. I will send the Son who carries my pure life. Through him, the wild branches can be grafted back into my original root." Many servants came before the Son. They were prophets, teachers, righteous men and women. They warned the trees, trimmed away dead branches, dug around the roots, and called the orchard to repentance. They said, "Prepare yourselves. The true vine is coming. The one connected completely to the Father is coming. Do not reject him when he appears." Some trees listened. Others mocked. Some said, "We already have roots. We already have traditions. We already know the Father." But their fruits still carried bitterness, and their branches still bent under the weight of the old disease. Then, in the fullness of time, the Son entered the orchard. He did not arrive like a king with armies. He came like a living branch from heaven, humble yet full of divine life. His roots were one with the Father. His sap was pure. His love was not mixed with selfishness. His mind and body were united. His words were light. His touch healed broken bark. His presence awakened sleeping trees. He walked through the orchard and said, "I am the vine. You are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." Some trees felt their leaves tremble when they heard him. They recognized something ancient, something original, something they had lost but never stopped longing for. The original mind within them cried out, "This is the one. This is the true life. This is the root we were meant to know." But others were offended. They looked at his simple appearance and said, "How can this man be the one from the Father? We know his village. We know his family. We know his face. He cannot be greater than our traditions." Yet the son did not stop loving them. He explained to the orchard the meaning of being born again. One day, a young wild branch named Eli heard him speaking near the center of the valley. Eli was not a great branch. He was twisted in several places. His leaves were often dry. He wanted goodness, but he could not hold it for long. He would promise to grow straight, but the next season he would bend again. He would produce a little fruit, but much of it was sour. Eli approached the son and said, "Master, I want to belong to the Father. I want to bear good fruit. But something inside me is wrong. Even when I desire the light, I feel another force pulling me toward darkness. What must I do?" The son looked at him with compassion. "You must be grafted," he said. Eli did not understand. Grafted? The son pointed to a wounded tree nearby. A farmer had taken a branch from a sick tree, cut it carefully, and inserted it into a healthy tree. The branch had once drawn life from diseased roots, but now it was beginning to receive new sap from a living trunk. The son said, "A branch cannot heal itself merely by wishing. If its root is corrupted, its fruit will remain mixed. It must be joined to a true root. It must receive new life from a true trunk. To be engrafted means to be cut away from the false root and joined to the life of the Father through the Son." Eli trembled. "Will it hurt?" "Yes," said the son gently, "because the old connection must be cut. Pride must be cut. False love must be cut. Selfish desire must be cut. The illusion that you can save yourself must be cut. But the cut is not for destruction. It is for rebirth." Eli looked down at himself. He saw the old bark, the scars, the diseased places, the crooked growth. He wanted new life, but he feared losing the old one. The son said, "No branch enters true life without surrender. But what you surrender is death. What you receive is life." So Eli agreed. The Father's gardener came with a sharp knife. Not a knife of hatred, but a knife of truth. Eli cried out as he was cut from the old wild tree. He felt exposed, helpless, and empty. For a moment he thought he would die. Then the gardener opened a place in the living tree and placed Eli into it. He wrapped him firmly so that the wound of the branch and the wound of the trunk touched one another. That was the mystery. The branch's wound had to meet the trunk's wound. Eli began to understand. The son did not merely teach from a distance. He opened his own life so that others could be joined to him. He bore suffering so that wounded branches could enter into his life. He gave himself so that those separated from the Father could be reconnected. At first, Eli felt nothing. Days passed. He wondered, has anything changed? I am still weak. I still remember the old root. I still feel the pull of the wild tree. But the gardener said, "Remain. Do not tear yourself away. Abide." So Eli remained. Slowly, something began to happen. A warmth entered him. It was not his own. A new sap began to rise. It passed from the root into the trunk, from the trunk into the graft, from the graft into Eli's dry fibers. His leaves began to soften. His color changed. His fruit changed. The old memories did not disappear immediately. Sometimes the wind from the wild orchard called to him. Sometimes he missed the familiar bitterness. Sometimes he thought freedom meant being separate. But whenever he remained attached to the living trunk, the new life grew stronger. One spring morning, Eli produced fruit unlike any he had ever borne before. It was sweet. He wept. He realized then that engrafting was not merely forgiveness. It was not merely being told, "You are pardoned." It was deeper than that. It was a change of source, a change of life, a change of lineage, a change of belonging. Before, Eli had tried to become good while still drawing life from the wrong root. Now he was becoming good because a new life was flowing through him. That is what it means to engraft onto Christ, the Son of God. It means that fallen humanity, like wild branches, cannot restore itself by moral effort alone. We may educate the leaves, polish the bark, decorate the fruit, and promise to grow straight, but if the root remains corrupted, the problem remains deeper than behavior. The problem is lineage, life source, and separation from God. Christ comes as the true vine, the true trunk, the true Adam, the tree of life. He is completely united with God. His life is not divided. His love is not poisoned. His root is pure. To engraft onto him means to be separated from the false root of sin and joined to the living root of God through him. It means receiving his truth, his love, his life, his heart, and his lineage. It means no longer living as an isolated branch trying to survive by willpower, but as a branch connected to the one who carries the Father's original life. Years passed and Eli became strong. Other wild branches came to him and asked, "How did your fruit become sweet?" Eli never boasted. He would simply say, "This fruit is not from me alone. I was grafted. The life you taste comes from the root to which I am joined." Some branches believed him and asked to be grafted too. Others laughed and said, "We are fine as we are." Some said, "Why should we need another tree?" Others said, "We can improve ourselves." Eli would answer, "Improvement is good, but rebirth is greater. Discipline can prune a branch, but only engrafting can change its source of life." Then he would point to the Son. "Do not only admire him, join yourself to him. Do not only quote him, abide in him. Do not only respect him as a teacher, receive him as the one sent by the Father to reconnect you to the original root." And the orchard slowly began to change. Wherever branches were grafted into the tree of life, new fruit appeared. Families became sweeter. Wounds began to heal. Trees that once fought for sunlight began to share shade. The valley did not become perfect overnight, but a new lineage of life had begun to spread. And every morning, when the sun rose over the eastern mountain, the Father looked upon the orchard and saw branches that had once been wild, now living through his Son. His tears were no longer only tears of sorrow. They became tears of hope. Because the purpose of engrafting was never merely to rescue individual branches. It was to restore the whole orchard. It was to bring humanity back into God's family. It was to make men and women true sons and daughters, bearing fruit that resembles the Father's heart. So when we say we must be engrafted onto Christ, we are saying we must leave the false root and receive the true root. We must move from fallen life to God's life. We must stop trying to save ourselves while remaining attached to sin. We must unite with the Son whom God sent. We must receive from him the life, love, truth, and lineage that can make us children of God. And once grafted, we must remain. Because the branch does not bear fruit by visiting the vine occasionally. It bears fruit by abiding in it. That is why Christ said, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing." Engrafting is the miracle of rebirth. It is the wild branch becoming part of the true tree. It is fallen humanity being joined back to the Son of God. It is the beginning of becoming what we were created to be from the very beginning. Living branches of the Father's love, bearing fruit for heaven and earth.